The mind of man is capable of achieving more than we often realize. It has the power to overcome obstacles, break barriers, and accomplish what might seem impossible. But to unlock that power, you must first understand how your mind works and how to harness it for your benefit. Have you ever faced a challenge that made you question your strength, or wondered if you could push through when everything inside you told you to stop? The truth is, your mind holds the key to rising above every difficulty. In this video, we'll explore how you can train your mind to handle any situation, to face discomfort head-on, and to push through limits you thought were unbreakable. If you want to unlock your true potential and discover just how much you're capable of, stay with me. This is where you'll learn how to tap into the strength that's already inside you. Number 1, train your mind daily to crush every limitation. Train your mind daily to crush every limitation. That's not just an idea. That's a requirement if you want to change your life. The human mind is more powerful than any tool ever built. The problem is, most people never learn how to use it. They wake up, repeat yesterday's habits, give in to distractions, and never challenge what they believe is possible for them. They stay the same year after year, and they tell themselves stories about why they can't grow. But the truth is simple. If you want to live a stronger life, you need to train your mind every single day. And it doesn't take magic. It takes work. It takes clarity. It takes daily effort. Think about this. You don't become physically strong by accident. You don't wake up one day with a strong body. You build it. You work at it. You put in the reps. The same goes for the mind. The mind gets sharper, stronger, more focused when you train it. When you put pressure on it. When you give it a reason to grow. People don't like that. They want change without struggle. They want progress without discomfort. But the mind only becomes capable of lifting anything when you stop running from the hard stuff. The real battle is internal. You wake up with thoughts. Some are weak. Some are full of doubt. Some are tied to old failures. If you don't deal with those thoughts, they will shape your day. They will drain your energy. They will put a ceiling over your life. That's why you've got to train the mind. You've got to take control of it. You've got to learn to notice what's going on in there, and then do something about it. You don't just react. You don't just survive. You act with purpose. You lead yourself. How do you train the mind? You start by doing what you don't feel like doing. You do the hard task when the lazy part of your brain says take it easy. You study when distractions beg for your attention. You move forward when it's uncomfortable. Every time you do that, your mind grows stronger. It builds discipline. It learns how to resist comfort and choose growth. Most people won't do this, and that's why most people stay stuck. They blame circumstances. They blame other people. But here's the truth. Your mind is under your control. Your results are a reflection of how well you've trained it. When you train your mind, you stop making decisions based on feelings. You start making them based on purpose. That's the shift. That's when the real transformation begins. You don't ask, do I feel like it? You ask, is this who I want to become? That one change in how you think can rewrite your entire life. Because discipline isn't about being in the mood. It's about being in control. Control of your focus, control of your time, control of your energy. Look around you. The world is full of people who gave up on themselves. Not because they weren't capable, but because they never trained their minds to handle challenge. They cracked under pressure. They gave up when things got hard. And maybe you've done that too. Maybe there are moments you regret. Maybe you've allowed your fears to lead your decisions. That's okay. It's not the end, but it is a wake-up call. If you want your life to go in a new direction, it starts with mental training. It starts with building a mind that's stronger than your excuses. You've got to stop being passive with your thoughts. Stop letting the old voices run your life. You're not who you were 10 years ago. You're not your mistakes. You're not your past failures, but you are whatever you choose to become now. And that choice is made in your mind. It's made in the quiet moments. It's made when nobody's watching. That's where greatness is born. Not in front of a crowd, not in some big public moment. It's born in silence, in solitude, in struggle, in choosing strength when weakness is easier. Some people wake up and think they're stuck. They say, this is just who I am. No, that's not who you are. That's who you've been. But who you become, that's up to you. You train your mind by doing what scares you, by stepping outside your comfort zone, by demanding more from yourself than what the world expects. That's how you crush limitations. That's how you become a person of real power. Not loud power, quiet power, unshakable power. The kind of power that comes from knowing you don't quit, that you don't run, that you don't break when life gets hard. Every day is a test. Every day is a chance to build something inside you, something nobody can take away. But you only get that if you're consistent. You can't train your mind once a month and expect results. You can't grow when you're constantly giving in to distractions. You've got to show up for yourself daily, no matter how you feel, no matter what happened yesterday. The mind needs pressure to grow, and if you don't apply that pressure, life will apply it for you. The difference is, when you train yourself, you get stronger. When you wait for life to train you, you often get crushed. You don't have to change everything overnight, but you've got to start now. Start with the first hour of your day. Control your inputs. Feed your mind something that builds you. Don't reach for your phone. Don't scroll through noise. Choose strength. Choose discipline. Choose silence. If that's what it takes to center your mind, then do something hard, something that challenges you, that pushes you, and then do it again tomorrow. That's how you build a mind that can lift anything. That's how you build resilience, one honest day at a time. Every time you avoid weakness, you become stronger. Every time you face fear, you train your brain to respond differently. Every time you get up after falling, you show your mind that nothing can break you. That's the kind of training that builds a new life. Not just new habits, a new life. One rooted in clarity, in control, in courage. People will try to talk you out of this. They'll say you're too intense. They'll say you should take it easy. They'll say you're doing too much. Ignore that. The people who tell you to slow down are often the ones who already gave up on themselves. You're not here to be average. You're here to be excellent. And excellence starts in the mind. It starts by choosing to get better, even when nobody else is. So stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for the perfect time. Stop saying you'll start tomorrow. Your life is shaped by what you do today, not what you plan, not what you hope, what you do, what you choose. And you have that choice now, to stay the same or to train your mind daily, to let limitations win, or to destroy them with discipline. The mind of man can lift anything, but only when it's trained, only when it's tested, only when it's taken seriously. So take it seriously, make it your mission, and one day when you look back, you'll realize that was the day everything changed. That was the day you took your mind back, and that was the day you took your life back. Number 2, push your thoughts beyond fear and self-doubt now. Push your thoughts beyond fear and self-doubt now. That's where it begins. The way you think shapes the way you live. Every fear that keeps you from moving forward started as a thought. Every hesitation, every excuse, every time you held back when you knew you should have stepped up, it all came from the mind. Most people don't realize how deeply fear and self-doubt have rooted themselves in their daily decisions. They let those quiet voices guide them, not because they're weak, but because they never learned to fight back. But you can take control. You can push past it. And when you do, you unlock a part of yourself you've never used before. Fear doesn't show up as a loud scream. It shows up in silence. It shows up when you're about to speak up, and something says, stay quiet. It shows up when you're ready to act, and something says, wait a little longer. It's subtle. That's why it's so dangerous. You don't even realize it's stealing your chances. That's why you've got to become aware. You've got to catch those thoughts as they show up and question them. Ask yourself, why am I hesitating right now? Most of the time, the answer will be fear, not logic, not truth, just fear. And if you let fear lead, it will take you further away from your potential. You're not born doubting yourself. That gets learned. It gets picked up over years of failure, disappointment, rejection, and criticism. The problem is, people start to believe those experiences define who they are. They confuse past results with permanent identity. That's where self-doubt gets power. But here's the truth. You're not limited by who you've been. You're only limited by what you allow your mind to keep believing. And you can challenge that. You can replace doubt with evidence. Start by doing what you don't think you can do. Small steps, real effort, proof that you're not stuck, proof that you're stronger than you thought. When you push your thoughts beyond fear, You begin to see choices you couldn't see before. Your brain stops focusing on danger and starts focusing on opportunity. But you can't wait to feel ready. You train your brain by acting when it feels impossible. That's how you change the wiring. That's how you build a new response to challenge. Instead of freezing, you move. Instead of retreating, you step forward. And the more you do that, the more natural it becomes. Most people think confidence comes before action. It doesn't. Confidence comes after you've faced fear and pushed through it. After you've done something that scared you. After you've proven to yourself that you don't need to listen to doubt anymore. And that proof doesn't have to be big. You don't need a massive breakthrough. You just need consistency. You need to show up for yourself. Even when your thoughts are against you. There's a voice inside everyone that whispers you're not enough. You're not ready. You're going to fail. That voice is not the truth. That voice is not the final word. But it is loud. It is convincing. That's why most people believe it. But here's what separates the strong from the average. The strong know how to answer back. They don't just accept the fear. They challenge it. They say, I hear you, but I'm still moving forward. And they do it afraid. They do it unsure, but they do it anyway. You don't get stronger by avoiding fear. You get stronger by walking through it. One uncomfortable decision at a time. One honest moment after another. You can't think your way into confidence. You earn it by doing hard things, by breaking patterns, by choosing growth over safety. That's how the mind evolves. That's how you build a mental foundation that can't be shaken. Some people will spend their whole lives playing it safe. They'll convince themselves they're protecting something. But what they're really doing is hiding. They're hiding from their own power. They're hiding from the pressure that would have made them better. And you know what's tragic? They never find out who they could have become. They never find out how much they had in them. All because they didn't learn to push their thoughts beyond fear. You're different. You're here to change something. You're here to make real progress. And that starts by confronting what scares you. That starts by facing the mental walls you keep hitting. You don't need more motivation. You need more courage. And courage means acting when you're not sure how it'll turn out. It means pushing through the fog, pushing past the excuses, refusing to settle for the easy way. Think about where fear has stopped you before. A decision you didn't make, a step you didn't take, a conversation you avoided. And ask yourself, what did that fear really protect you from? Most of the time, it didn't save you from anything. It only delayed your growth. It only kept you stuck. And every time you avoid action, that fear grows a little stronger. That doubt digs in a little deeper. But you can reverse that. You can weaken it. One bold choice at a time. Every fear you face makes the next one smaller. Every time you act despite doubt, you make your mind stronger. That's not theory. That's real life. That's how people transform. They stop making fear the reason, and they start making it the signal. The signal that says, this is where the growth is. This is the path. This is the moment to go forward, not back. It's not about being fearless. That's a lie. Everyone feels fear. It's about learning to act while fear is present. It's about developing a stronger voice inside that says, I'm doing this anyway. And the more you listen to that voice, the more it becomes who you are. You stop waiting for permission. You stop needing validation. You start leading yourself with strength. Your future depends on how well you train your mind to push past fear. Everything you want, the real goals, the real peace, the real pride, it's all sitting on the other side of that invisible wall in your head. And nobody can break that wall for you. Not your friends, not your family, not me, only you. Only you can do the work to dismantle it. Only you can prove that your thoughts don't own you. You own them. Push yourself to think in new ways. Ask better questions. Instead of asking, what if I fail? Ask, what happens if I never try? That changes everything. That wakes you up. That makes it real. Because the real danger isn't failure. The real danger is staying the same. Wasting years waiting to feel ready. Letting fear shrink your world when your mind was built to expand it. Now is the time. Not later. Not when it's easier. Now, push your thoughts beyond fear and self-doubt. Now, because waiting has never made anyone stronger. Action does. Courage does. Choice does. Start today. Start with the one thought that's been holding you back the longest, and destroy it. Replace it with belief. Back that belief with action. And watch what happens to your life when you finally stop running from your own power. Number 3, master your focus to break through mental barriers. Focus is the gatekeeper of progress. If you can't control where your mind goes, you'll never control where your life goes. People talk about motivation, they talk about discipline, but none of it matters if you can't keep your attention locked on what truly counts. The world is loud. The distractions are constant. Everywhere you turn, something is trying to pull your mind away. And it's not just noise, it's stealing your time, your energy, your strength, and your potential. You have to take that back. If you want to break through mental barriers, you've got to master your focus like your life depends on it, because it does. The problem isn't that people don't have goals. The problem is they can't stay with those goals long enough to make them real. They jump from one thing to the next, one idea today, another one tomorrow. They start strong and fade fast. And it's not because they're lazy, it's because they've never trained their minds to stay locked in. If your attention is always bouncing around, so is your progress. You'll never build anything solid on a shaky mind. That's why focus isn't optional. It's essential. When your mind is clear, your actions are sharp. When you know what matters and you can block everything else out, there's no hesitation. You move, you act, you build, you grow. But when your thoughts are scattered, your life becomes scattered. You might be doing 100 things, but none of them deeply, none of them effectively. And the result is frustration. You feel like you're trying hard, but nothing's really changing. That's a sign you need focus, not more effort. Most mental barriers aren't real walls. They're made of noise. They're built from distractions, doubts, unfinished tasks, emotional clutter, and loose thinking. When you clean that up, the barriers fall. What looked impossible before suddenly looks clear. Not because the challenge changed, but because your mind did. A focused mind sees solutions faster. It pushes longer. It finishes what it starts. Focus is built with decisions. You choose where your mind goes. You choose what deserves your attention, and you choose what doesn't. That's where it starts. You don't master focus by adding more to your plate. You master it by subtracting what doesn't belong. You simplify. You remove the clutter. You decide what matters most, and you give that your full attention. Not part of it, not what's left after everything else. All of it. You'll never feel fully focused if your environment is chaotic. If your phone is always buzzing, if your schedule is packed with nonsense, if your space is disorganized, don't expect your mind to be calm. Your physical world affects your mental clarity. You've got to set yourself up to focus. That means removing temptations. That means scheduling time for deep work. That means protecting your attention like it's a treasure. Because it is. Mental barriers grow when you let your focus wander. Every time you let your mind drift to comfort, to worry, to doubt, that barrier grows stronger. But when you focus with intention, when you return your mind to the task again and again, you chip away at the wall. You weaken the resistance. And over time, you don't just break through, you break free. You become the kind of person who doesn't give in to distraction, who doesn't quit when it gets hard, who finishes what they said they would. The real challenge isn't starting. It's staying with it, sticking to the plan, holding your focus when it would be easier to scroll, to check out, to waste time. That's where most people lose. But you can win there. You can train your focus like a muscle. You can build it up. At first it'll feel difficult. You'll sit down to work, and your brain will want to run. But you stay anyway. You bring it back. Again and again, that's the work. That's how the mind learns to obey your direction, instead of running wild. Focus brings power. When you give one thing your full attention, you give it your full strength. You solve problems quicker. You create more value. You see deeper. You make smarter decisions. You become more effective. Not just busy, effective. And that's what changes lives. It's not doing more things. It's doing the right things better. You also have to learn to say no. You can't focus if you're always available. You can't stay locked in if you're always distracted by other people's agendas. You've got to respect your time. You've got to protect your mind. Not everything deserves a reply. Not every distraction deserves your attention. Learn to shut the door. Learn to turn things off. Learn to stay in your zone long enough to build something that matters. Don't expect to feel motivated all the time. Motivation fades. Focus stays. When you know how to focus, you can work without emotion. You can make progress even when you don't feel like it. You don't rely on mood. You rely on clarity. You know what needs to be done, and you do it. Not because it's exciting, but because it's necessary. That's what builds success. That's what builds strength. People who stay focused, even when it's hard, build a kind of confidence that can't be shaken. Your brain wants to be stimulated. That's why distraction feels good. But stimulation isn't the same as satisfaction. When you waste time, it might feel good for a moment, but later it leaves you empty. Real satisfaction comes from focus, from knowing you did the hard work, from seeing real progress, from building something with your effort and discipline that lasts, that gives you pride, that feeds your spirit. If you want to master your mind, you have to master your focus, and you don't do that by thinking about it. You do that by living it. You live it in your daily habits, in how you use your time, in what you prioritize, in how often you say yes to distraction. Every choice is training. You're either training your mind to drift, or you're training it to lock in. You decide. Every day is a chance to get better at it. Mental clarity doesn't just show up. It's earned. It's created through discipline, simplicity, and repetition. And it's worth the effort. Because when your focus is strong, you move through resistance like it's not even there. You stop wasting energy. You stop second guessing. You act with purpose. You move with speed. You hit your goals and you keep moving. You'll have to train yourself to focus when you're tired, when you're distracted, when you're tempted to quit. That's when it matters most. Anyone can focus when it's easy. What counts is what you do when it's not. That's what sets you apart. That's what builds the kind of mental toughness that can't be broken. Don't let your focus be accidental. Make it deliberate. Choose it. Practice it. Refine it. And don't settle for a scattered mind. You were made for more than distraction. You were made to build, to grow, to overcome, to move past the limits that used to hold you down. But to do that, you must master your focus to break through every mental barrier standing in your way. This isn't just a nice idea. It's a life-changing skill. Make it your priority, and everything else will rise with it. Number 4, challenge yourself to think stronger under pressure. Pressure doesn't break you. It shows you where you need to grow. And in those moments when the world gets heavy and the noise gets loud, your greatest strength won't be how much you know or how many resources you have. It'll be how strong you can think. It'll be how clearly you can decide. It'll be how calm you can stay. When everything around you feels like it's rushing to chaos. When pressure rises, your mind has two options. Either collapse or rise higher. And you decide which one happens. You don't wait for it. You don't hope it turns out. You train for it. You prepare your mind like it's going to face resistance, because it will. Thinking strong under pressure doesn't mean pretending things are easy. It doesn't mean denying what's happening. It means facing it with full awareness, then choosing to respond with power instead of panic. Most people freeze under pressure because they've never learned how to stay steady in difficulty. They've never trained their thoughts to work for them when things go wrong. They let fear take the wheel. They let doubt dictate the next step. And that's exactly where things fall apart. Because when your thinking breaks, your direction breaks with it. When you get in the habit of staying mentally strong during stress, you become someone others can't easily shake. That's how you grow into a leader, not because you avoid problems, but because you handle them with a sharper mind. A weak thought in a hard moment leads to poor decisions, wasted time, and broken momentum. But a strong thought, a focused, calm, direct thought, gives you a way forward, even in the middle of difficulty. The difference between rising and crumbling under pressure comes down to this. Do you know how to manage your thoughts when it counts? You build that strength before the pressure shows up. You don't wait until your world is spinning to start learning how to think with clarity. You train it in the small moments. When you're annoyed, when you're disappointed, when plans change, Those are chances to grow stronger. You tell yourself the truth, and you act from clarity. You don't let emotions take over. You guide them. You make your thoughts serve your purpose. And over time, this becomes your instinct. You learn how to stay clear in chaos. That's real power. It's easy to be logical when things are calm. It's easy to say you'll stay focused when there's no pressure. But pressure reveals the real training. Pressure brings out what you've built. If you want to win in the hard moments, then you've got to build a mind that can think stronger when most people start to crumble. That means creating a habit of asking better questions. Instead of why me, you ask, what's the next move? Instead of what if this fails, you ask, how do I adjust fast? Strong thinking isn't about pretending to be fearless. It's about thinking clearly in spite of fear. Mental pressure isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet. It's the pressure of showing up when you're tired. It's the pressure of finishing something that no one else sees. It's the pressure of trying again after you failed. And that kind of pressure requires just as much strength. You have to be the one to push yourself mentally when no one is watching. You have to learn how to stand up for your future, even when it feels easier to fold. And that comes from building a pattern of thinking that keeps you forward focused. You train your thinking by choosing where your focus goes. When pressure hits, your mind wants to focus on fear, on worst-case scenarios, on everything that could go wrong. That's natural. But it's not helpful. The power comes from noticing that spiral and stopping it. You shift your mind from panic to problem solving. You focus not on what you fear, but on what you can control. You focus not on the pressure itself, but on your response to it. That's what gives you back your power. You don't let pressure own your thoughts. You take ownership and decide where your energy goes. And when you think stronger under pressure, you grow a level of trust in yourself that no one can give you. You learn that even in chaos, you can think with clarity. Even when things don't go your way, you can choose your next step wisely. And that creates resilience. That builds your confidence from the inside. You don't need things to be perfect. You just need your mind to stay strong. That's what keeps you steady when life gets hard. Sometimes, pressure comes from your own expectations. You put so much on yourself. You want to do everything right. You want to succeed fast. And that pressure, if not handled with strength, will turn into frustration, fear, or burnout. So you've got to learn to slow your mind down. Take a step back, see what matters. Ask yourself what result you want, and what kind of thinking will help you get there. That's what strong thinking looks like. Not overreacting, not overthinking, just choosing your thoughts with purpose. Every time you face pressure, you're in training. You're learning what kind of person you become when things get tight. Are you the kind who panics, or are you the kind who sharpens your thoughts and gets better? You decide with every response. You shape your mind through your choices. And the more you choose strong thoughts, the more natural it becomes. You won't have to fake calm. You'll have built it. You won't have to pretend to be sharp. You'll already be trained to think with control. And remember this, pressure doesn't mean something is wrong. Pressure means you're in the game. You're doing something that matters. You're stretching. You're showing up. And if you keep showing up with a stronger mind every time, you will break through. You'll find a way. You'll rise while others fall. Because you didn't wait for things to get easier. You made your mind stronger. And that gave you the power to lead yourself through anything. So challenge yourself, not just to survive pressure, but to think better during it. Build the habit of breathing slower when your heart wants to race. Ask yourself stronger questions when your mind wants to panic. Make your thoughts clear when the world feels foggy. That's how you win. Not by avoiding pressure, but by mastering yourself under it. The more pressure you learn to handle, the more of life you'll be able to face, and the more of your potential you'll unlock. Train your mind to think stronger, and the world will feel a lot less heavy. Number 5. Force your mind to grow through real discipline. Discipline is not something you wait to feel. It's something you decide to live by. You don't build a strong mind by accident. You build it through consistent effort, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's inconvenient. Most people wait for the perfect mood to act. That's why they stay stuck. Growth doesn't happen when it feels good. Growth happens when you push yourself through the days you don't want to do the work. when your mind tells you to stop and you do it anyway. That's when discipline starts to shape your thoughts. That's when your mind starts to respect you. Discipline is doing what you know you should do, long after the feeling to do it has passed. It's waking up early when your body wants more sleep. It's staying focused when distractions scream for your attention. It's showing up fully, even when no one is watching. It's not glamorous, it's not always fun, but it builds something no shortcut ever will. Real inner strength. Discipline makes you dependable to yourself. It gives you mental structure, something solid you can lean on when everything else feels unstable. It gives you boundaries that protect your energy and purpose. Without discipline, you drift. With discipline, you direct. When you force your mind to follow discipline, you stop waiting for motivation. You stop needing to feel inspired. You stop needing everything to go your way. You just do what needs to be done, because you've trained yourself to do it. That's freedom. When you no longer negotiate with your excuses, when you no longer argue with your responsibilities, your mind becomes an ally. And when your mind works for you instead of against you, your life changes. Discipline rewires your identity. Every time you do what's right instead of what's easy, you prove to yourself that you are not weak, you are not soft, and you are not trapped in old habits. Too many people live their lives in reaction mode. They respond to how they feel instead of living by their values. But if you want your mind to grow, you've got to give it something solid to follow. Discipline is that foundation. It's the voice inside you that says this matters more than comfort. And when you listen to that voice every day, you start to build trust with yourself. You become someone who finishes what they start. You become someone who can rely on their own word. And that's where real mental strength is born. You won't always see the results right away. Discipline is quiet at first. You don't get applause. You don't get instant reward. You just get the grind. You get early mornings. You get hard decisions. You get lonely effort. But if you stay with it, your life starts to look different. Your results become proof of your discipline. Your focus becomes unshakable. Your goals stop being dreams and start being outcomes. And it all comes from one thing: your ability to make your mind follow your direction, not your mood. Most people give up when it gets hard. They think the struggle means something is wrong. But discipline teaches you that struggle is part of the path. It teaches you that you can do hard things repeatedly. And every time you follow through, every time you act without needing to feel ready, you get stronger. You train your mind to operate under pressure. You build the skill of staying locked in, no matter what life throws at you. And that skill is worth more than any motivation you could ever hope for. If you want a better life, start with better discipline. Don't wait for the perfect time. Don't wait for better conditions. Create structure today. Decide what matters. Set non-negotiables. Stick to your standards. Discipline is not punishment. It's protection. It protects your time, your energy, your vision. It keeps your future intact. Without it, your life gets dictated by emotion. With it, your life is shaped by purpose. When you live with discipline, you don't fear setbacks. You expect them, and you're ready for them, because your mind is already trained to get back on track. No matter what, you'll have days when you want to quit. That's normal, but you don't listen to that voice. You listen to the voice you've trained. You listen to the deeper part of you that wants progress. And that voice only grows louder the more discipline you apply. Force your mind to follow your decisions. Don't let it talk you out of what you know is right. When the alarm goes off, get up. When the task is hard, do it anyway. When you feel lazy, remind yourself who you're becoming. You're not just working on goals, you're working on yourself. Every action of discipline shapes your future. Discipline also helps you respect other areas of your life. You take care of your body because your mind is trained to act, not wait. You manage your time better because you no longer accept excuses. You build stronger relationships because you show up with consistency. Discipline isn't just about grinding. It's about creating a life that reflects your highest standards. And you get that by doing what's right, even when no one sees it. The truth is, growth hurts. It stretches your mind past comfort, but discipline makes that growth possible. When you act with discipline, your mind stops fearing discomfort. It starts understanding that hard choices lead to freedom. That early mornings lead to peace. That pushing through resistance leads to pride. You can't buy that. You have to earn it. You have to live it. And it starts with forcing your mind to do what needs to be done, again and again, until it's no longer a struggle. It's just who you are. Every time you live with discipline, you remove the limits that once owned you. You stop being controlled by distractions. You stop giving in to weakness. You stop falling back into the patterns that held you back for years. Discipline breaks mental walls. It opens doors. It gives you the tools to build the life you want, step by step, without shortcuts. No one can give you this. You have to choose it. You have to make the decision every day to think and act with strength, no matter how you feel. So start now, not tomorrow, not next week. Decide today that your mind will follow your mission. Build habits that serve your future. Stick to standards that reflect who you want to become. Speak to yourself with truth, not comfort. Follow through on what you say you'll do. Be the kind of person who doesn't fold when it's hard. Be the kind of person who shows up when others would quit. Be the kind of person who forces their mind to grow, because nothing about your growth will happen by accident. And if you stay with it long enough, the world will notice. But more importantly, you'll notice. You'll walk stronger. You'll think clearer. You'll live with purpose. Not because everything got easier, but because you got better. You trained your mind through discipline, and that gave you strength nothing else could give you. Number 6, use your willpower to dominate every tough moment. Willpower is one of the strongest tools a person can build. It's not something you're born with in full. It's not something others can give you. It's built through hard choices, personal promises, and a deep desire to not let your own weakness win. You get tested every single day. Some tests are loud and chaotic. Others are silent and private. But every single one is an opportunity to prove that you are in charge of your mind, your reactions, and your direction. If you want to get stronger, if you want to lead your life instead of being pulled by it, you have to learn to use your willpower, especially in the hardest moments. When the pressure hits, your mind will start looking for a way out. It will try to make the discomfort seem bigger than it is. That's when you need to be stronger than your excuses. You need to be stronger than your feelings. You need to decide that quitting is not an option, and backing down is not part of your identity. Willpower is that decision. It's not loud, it's not dramatic. It's quiet, firm, and absolute. It says, no matter how this feels, I will not fold. The more you practice that, the more control you gain. And the more control you gain, the more momentum you build. The most powerful people are not the ones who avoid pain. They are the ones who walk straight into it and stay focused. Willpower doesn't mean you always feel strong. It means you act strong even when your mind wants to retreat. It means you don't break your standards just because the moment feels uncomfortable. You don't give in just because the road is long. You keep going because that's who you decided to be. And that decision matters more than the challenge. When you use your willpower to dominate tough moments, you stop being controlled by how you feel in the moment. You stop reacting. You start directing. That's when life starts moving in your favor. Every time you make a decision based on willpower instead of emotion, you grow. You become someone who doesn't depend on outside motivation. You become someone who gets things done regardless of the mood, the weather, the challenge, or the opinion of others. That's power. That's how you create a life that reflects your real values. Most people fold when it gets hard because they never trained themselves to push through. They never learned the power of standing firm when their mind screams to run. You have to be different. You have to be the one who stands tall in the fire and says, "This moment won't break me." There will be days when everything feels like it's falling apart. Your plans won't go right. People will let you down. You'll feel exhausted, confused, frustrated, maybe even hopeless. But that's the moment your willpower becomes your shield. That's when you say, "I keep going." Not because it's easy, but because I'm worth the effort. You don't wait for things to get better. You act in a way that makes them better. You don't hope for strength, you become it. That's the mindset that wins. That's the discipline that separates people who succeed from those who stay stuck in the same cycles. You won't dominate every moment right away. That's not how it works. You build this one decision at a time. When you feel tired but finish the workout. When you feel tempted but say no to the distraction. When your goals feel far away but you still take the next step. That's willpower. That's mental toughness. That's how you build the kind of life most people only talk about, but never live. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent when things get tough. It's about showing up when your old self would have stayed down. Your willpower is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. The less you rely on it, the weaker it becomes. And the truth is, no one else can build it for you. People can encourage you, but they can't make you act. They can inspire you, but they can't force you to show up. That's your job. And it's not just your job, it's your responsibility to your future self. If you want more peace, more confidence, more progress, you need to build the will to fight through the moments that try to steal your strength. Every tough moment is a test. Every hard situation is a challenge to your discipline. Are you going to fall apart because it's difficult, or are you going to lean on the willpower you've been training day after day? You get to choose that. And once you realize how much is in your control, you stop waiting for ideal conditions. You stop needing approval. You stop waiting for someone to rescue you. You start acting like the leader of your own life. That shift alone changes everything. If you want to live with strength, you need to build a strong will. That means refusing to back down when it counts. That means making decisions that align with your goals, even when they feel inconvenient. That means standing firm when your thoughts start whispering doubt. Your willpower has to become louder than your fear. It has to speak louder than your insecurity. And it can if you train it enough. Every act of willpower sharpens your mind. Every time you say no to weakness, you strengthen your backbone. And that strength becomes the very thing that carries you through storms. You have to be the one who shows up when no one else does. You have to be the one who keeps going when the world goes quiet. That's what it means to live with real willpower. It's not flashy, it's not fun. But it works. It builds character. It sharpens discipline. It creates results. You may feel alone in that effort sometimes, but you're not. Every person who has ever changed their life started right there, choosing to act with strength in the face of pressure. And they got better, day after day, by refusing to quit when it got hard. You don't need perfect circumstances. You need personal control. You don't need motivation all the time. You need personal standards that don't change with how you feel. That's what gives you peace. That's what makes you powerful. Because once you realize you can do the hard things, even when you don't want to, you become dangerous to every excuse that once stopped you. You become focused. You become driven. You become unshakable. That's the reward of mastering your willpower. Don't look for comfort. Look for challenge. Don't chase easy. Chase growth. And growth happens in pressure, in conflict, in those silent battles no one else sees. Use your willpower like a weapon. Aim it at every weak part of you and replace that weakness with action. Push through when it's boring. Push through when it's painful. Push through when your thoughts try to pull you back. Dominate the moment, no matter what it demands from you. When the day ends and you look in the mirror, you'll know you didn't fold, you didn't run, you faced the moment, and you won. That's where pride comes from. Not from praise or applause, but from knowing you chose strength when it was hard. That's a victory no one can take from you. And you earn it through willpower. You earn it every single day you refuse to quit. Keep going. Keep showing up. Keep dominating every moment that tries to break you. That's how you grow. That's how you win. That's how you lead a life you're proud of. Number 7. Build mental toughness by doing hard things daily. Mental toughness isn't something you find. It's something you create by facing the things most people run away from. It's built when you stop avoiding discomfort and start walking into it with your eyes open. Every time you choose to do something difficult when you could have taken the easy path, you build strength. Most people will never understand, and that strength isn't just for big challenges, it's for everything. It gives you clarity, endurance, confidence, and resilience. But the price is simple. You have to do hard things daily, without needing motivation, without needing to be in the mood, and without needing a perfect moment. If you want to build a strong mind, you need to stop looking for what feels good right now and start doing what will make you feel proud tomorrow. That means getting up early when you'd rather sleep in. That means finishing what you start, even when it stops being exciting. That means saying no to the habits that make you weak and saying yes to the routines that sharpen you. You can't build a powerful life with soft decisions. You need grit. You need to stop negotiating with your lower self and start choosing what's difficult on purpose. Because that's where growth lives, in the middle of the struggle, not outside of it. You can read about toughness. You can watch others talk about it. But until you feel it in your bones, until you experience the sting of discipline and keep going, you won't know it for yourself. The only way to understand what you're capable of is to push beyond your comfort zone. That's where mental toughness is born, on the days when everything in you wants to stop and you move anyway. On the days when the weight is heavy, but you still carry it. On the days when doubt fills your mind, but you still take the next step. There's no shortcut to this. You have to earn it. You have to create situations where you're uncomfortable on purpose. Because real growth never shows up when you're cozy. It shows up when you challenge yourself, when you stretch yourself, when you feel the urge to give up and decide not to. You build that toughness by deciding to be better even when no one is watching. You do hard things every day, not for applause, but because it turns you into someone who doesn't crack under pressure. The small hard things matter just as much as the big ones. Taking a cold shower when it's easier to stay warm, putting your phone down and reading something that builds your mind, choosing clean fuel for your body instead of junk, showing up when no one told you to. These aren't massive events, but they shape your character. Every small victory compounds. Every disciplined choice makes the next one a little easier. The momentum builds, and one day you'll look back and realize you're not the same person. You've changed, not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. Most people are fragile because they avoid pain. They run from challenge. They pick pleasure over purpose. But that road never leads to peace. It leads to regret. If you want to feel proud, if you want to feel powerful, you need to earn it. You earn it by grinding through the days when your mind is full of excuses. You earn it by showing up when your energy is low and your results are slow. That's where toughness is formed, through consistent, quiet work that no one applauds, but you know it's building something inside you. It's easy to talk about being strong. It's harder to practice it, but the real power comes from the practice. Discipline isn't about motivation. It's about identity. You do the hard things not because you feel like it, but because that's who you've decided to be. And when that identity becomes solid, when you've proven to yourself that you can handle anything, life stops intimidating you. The stress gets lighter. The noise gets quieter. Because you've trained yourself to push forward, no matter what. If you want mental toughness, you need repetition. You need the same kind of decisions made daily. When it's raining, when you're tired, when no one says thank you. The repetition builds mental armor. It trains your mind to keep its focus, even when the world around you loses its direction. It teaches you not to flinch when things get uncomfortable. You start trusting yourself more. You stop overthinking. You move with quiet confidence. Not because everything is easy, but because you've proven to yourself that difficulty isn't a reason to stop. You'll face resistance every day. That voice that says, take a break, do it later. This is too much. You'll hear it. But that's the voice you must beat. That voice is why people give up. That voice is why most stay average. You can't negotiate with it. You need to drown it out by taking action. The more you act, the weaker that voice becomes. And eventually, it fades. It loses power when you stop listening. And what takes its place is a new voice, stronger, clearer, sharper. A voice that says, I don't quit. I do what needs to be done. Pain is part of the process. You'll feel it in your body, in your thoughts, in your habits. But that pain isn't the enemy. It's the signal that you're alive, that you're growing, that you're moving forward. And when you learn to embrace it, you start seeing it as fuel. Every hard thing you finish adds another layer of strength, not just in your muscles, but in your mind. And a strong mind doesn't crumble. A strong mind keeps going, even when the rewards are far off. A strong mind believes in delayed gratification and proves it through action. Do something hard every day, and you'll never be fragile again. You'll be prepared when life throws something at you. You'll be steady when everyone else is falling apart. You'll be the one others look to for strength, because they'll see it in your eyes, in your posture, in the way you speak. But it won't be because you were born different. It'll be because you chose to be different. You chose the hard path. You earned the edge that most people only talk about. If you want peace, pursue challenge. If you want strength, choose discomfort. If you want freedom, live with discipline. That's the formula. No gimmicks, no hacks. Just real effort, applied daily. Keep testing yourself. Keep raising your standards. Keep walking into resistance and breaking through it. Mental toughness isn't about being fearless. It's about doing what needs to be done, especially when fear is present, especially when pressure is high. That's what separates people who grow from people who stay stuck. You don't need a new plan. You need personal power. You don't need someone to save you. You need to build the ability to save yourself. Do the hard things today. Do them again tomorrow. And keep doing them until your mind becomes your greatest ally. That's the way forward. That's how you build a life that no obstacle can destroy. Number 8, strengthen your thinking by facing discomfort head on. The easiest way to stay weak is to keep running from discomfort. The strongest minds are not built in safety. They are forged in struggle, carved by pressure, and shaped by the moments that test your patience, your pride, your preparation, and your persistence. If you want to strengthen the way you think, you need to stop choosing comfort as your default setting. Because comfort is deceptive. It makes you believe you're okay when you're actually falling behind. It convinces you to delay, to wait, to avoid, to make peace with mediocrity. But deep down, you know that you're built for more, and that more won't come until you confront what makes you hesitate. Discomfort reveals your limits, and your limits are where your mind grows. You can't think stronger thoughts if you're always trying to escape the hard ones. You have to look your hesitation in the face and move anyway. You have to stop trying to negotiate with pressure and start leaning into it. The pressure is where your clarity sharpens. When you're challenged, when you're pushed, when you're on the edge of giving up. Those are the moments when your thoughts either become fragile or they become focused. And the decision is always yours. You either let that moment beat you, or you use it to train your mind to be sharper and more steady than it was yesterday. It starts when you stop hiding from the hard things. Face them, walk into them without flinching. Let them expose the weaknesses in your thought process. Let them stretch you beyond the mental habits that keep you stuck. The more you face discomfort, the more your mind learns how to process stress with clarity instead of panic. Your emotions may react, but your thoughts become disciplined. You stop overreacting. You stop spiraling. You stop collapsing under pressure. Because you've conditioned yourself not to avoid difficulty, but to think clearly through it. Your thoughts need tension to grow, just like your muscles do. You can't expect to develop a stronger mind if all you give it are easy routines and soft decisions. You have to engage it with problems that require you to focus, to evaluate, to decide with precision. That's how you train mental sharpness. You pick a challenge that you normally avoid, and you do it with full effort. You push through the resistance. And when you finish, your brain learns something powerful, that you can think through hardship and come out stronger. Avoiding discomfort makes your thoughts lazy. When you avoid challenge, you rely on comfort-based thinking, thoughts that are reactive, emotional, and scattered. But discomfort forces order. It demands structure. It teaches your mind how to stay composed under stress. If you keep stepping into discomfort with intention, you'll start thinking with a new kind of energy, a focused energy. You won't panic under pressure because your brain has been trained not to. You've practiced. You've gone through the fire, and you've built control. This doesn't mean seeking chaos. It means being deliberate. Facing discomfort doesn't mean throwing yourself into reckless situations. It means choosing challenges that develop your thinking. It means putting yourself in positions where your reflexes are no longer enough, and your discipline has to take over. That's how you grow. That's how you become mentally unshakable. You take on situations where your emotions scream for comfort, but your will overrides them. Where your mind is tempted to run, but your focus keeps you locked in. You can't think stronger by avoiding what makes you uncomfortable. You must train your thoughts through exposure to hard realities. Step into what's difficult. Do what others avoid. Confront what makes you uncertain. Your ability to focus and process complexity improves every time you resist the urge to escape. Stop chasing ease. Chase edge. You don't rise by doing what's convenient. You rise by doing what's constructive, especially when it's uncomfortable. The thoughts that dominate your mind shape your direction. If your dominant thoughts are excuses, avoidance, or fear, you will stay stuck in the same cycles. But if your dominant thoughts are grounded in accountability, clarity, and resilience, your life will rise in proportion to the power of those thoughts. That's why discomfort is essential. It's the mirror that shows you where your thinking is weak and forces you to develop mental habits that support growth, not sabotage it. When your environment becomes hard, your mind either tightens up or levels up. If you're used to running from discomfort, you'll fall apart when things get tough. But if you've trained your thinking to hold steady in chaos, you become the person who can handle pressure with calm, who can lead in a crisis, who can act when others freeze. And all of that comes from doing the work no one wants to do. The mental reps, the decisions that cost energy, the practice of confronting what most people spend their lives avoiding. Most people are mentally exhausted, not because their lives are too hard, but because they've never trained themselves to think through stress with control. They let discomfort own their mind. They respond with emotion instead of intention. But you can be different. You can choose to stop numbing yourself and start sharpening yourself. You can build the capacity to endure, to reason, to adjust without losing your center. But only if you keep facing what's uncomfortable instead of hiding from it. When you build the habit of facing discomfort head on, something changes in how you see yourself. You stop doubting your capacity. You stop questioning your strength because you've earned the truth. You've tested your limits and you've extended them. You've gone into resistance and made it your training ground. And that kind of confidence doesn't come from books or motivational speeches. It comes from self-earned results. It comes from doing the hard things daily and learning how to think clearly in the middle of them. Don't wait until you feel ready. That day might never come. Readiness is built through action, not thought. Get into the arena. Struggle with something difficult today on purpose. Prove to yourself that you can operate in discomfort without collapsing. Make that your new baseline. Because once you've faced discomfort enough times, you stop fearing it. You start using it. You start thinking with the mind of someone who isn't afraid to be challenged. This is your edge. Most people retreat when discomfort shows up. You won't. You'll stay. You'll face it. You'll engage it with your full attention. And every time you do that, you take back control from the chaos. You sharpen your focus. You clarify your priorities. You dominate your distractions. And you build the mental strength that can't be faked. This is how you become mentally resilient. Not by running from discomfort, but by meeting it with everything you've got and thinking your way through it with purpose. Number 9. Control your emotions to rise above every struggle. Most people are trapped by their emotions. Not because their emotions are too strong, but because they've never learned how to lead themselves through them. You can't master your life if you're constantly losing control of your reactions. Every struggle, every setback, every challenge becomes 10 times harder when your emotions dominate your decisions. If you want to rise above every struggle, you must train yourself to take command of your emotional state before it takes command of your life. Control doesn't mean you suppress what you feel. It means you understand it, interpret it, and act with intention instead of impulse. Struggles are inevitable, but being dominated by emotions in those struggles is a choice, and often a habit. When life squeezes you, when pressure builds, when the unexpected hits you in the face, your automatic emotional response can either crush you or sharpen you. The difference lies in the gap between emotion and action. That gap is where discipline lives. That space is where maturity grows. And the only way to make that space wider is through practice. You pause, you breathe, you slow down your reaction. You examine what you're feeling without becoming a slave to it. And then you move, not to escape, but to respond wisely. You rise above when you stop letting frustration lead your mouth. You rise above when you stop letting fear decide your next step. You rise above when your thinking becomes more grounded than your emotions. That doesn't mean you become robotic. It means you become deliberate. You remain aware. You lead yourself. No matter how hard the situation tries to pull you out of alignment. Real power isn't in appearing tough. It's in staying calm when everything around you is falling apart. That kind of calm can't be faked. It comes from inner work, from developing your ability to stay centered even when your emotions are screaming for chaos. Every moment you choose emotional control over emotional chaos, you prove to yourself that you are the leader of your life. You teach yourself that struggle isn't your enemy, it's your training ground. You stop panicking in discomfort because you've conditioned your nervous system to respond with clarity. Most people break not because the struggle is unbearable, but because their emotional responses make it worse. They spiral in frustration. They drown in self-pity. They get paralyzed by anxiety, and in that fog, they make poor decisions. But you can choose differently. You can create mental space. You can move slower inside even when everything outside moves fast. Emotional control is about leadership, leading your thoughts, your words, your responses with presence. It's about stepping back from your internal storms and reminding yourself that you are not your reaction. You are the awareness behind it. You are the calm within it. You can observe the anger without acting on it. You can witness the doubt without letting it direct you. You can feel the fear and still do what you said you'd do. This is how strong people move. They don't deny emotion. They learn how to walk with it and not be dragged by it. Struggles will always try to pull something out of you. They'll try to provoke you, disorient you, push you to react emotionally, and lose your grip. But your job is to respond in a way that reflects the person you're committed to becoming, not the one that the situation tries to reduce you to. When you act out of emotion, you serve the struggle. When you act from control, you rise above it. It's not about pretending to be unaffected. It's about refusing to let that emotion rewrite your values. Your principles must remain non-negotiable, even in high-pressure moments. That's what separates you from the chaos around you. Learn to sit with your emotions without letting them speak for you. Let them pass through you like a storm, but don't let them become your language. If you make decisions based on how you feel in your lowest moments, you'll keep sabotaging your highest goals. Discipline starts in the mind, but it's tested in your emotions. How you handle being misunderstood, overlooked, challenged, doubted, or pushed to your limit reveals whether you're living in reaction or in control. Take pride in the moments where you didn't snap, didn't quit, didn't panic. That's your strength showing. Nothing will test your emotional control like failure. When things don't go your way, your old emotions will come knocking. Shame, blame, bitterness, regret. But don't open the door. Observe them, yes. Learn from them, absolutely. But don't let them dictate your self-worth or your next move. Rise above them with self-command. Replace panic with perspective. Replace blame with responsibility. Replace self-pity with action. That's how you build resilience. That's how you transform pain into power. It's easy to act composed when life is going smoothly, but your emotional strength is measured in the moments that aren't smooth. In the moments where it feels like everything is going wrong, that's where your real growth happens. That's where you either collapse under the weight of your feelings, or you rise with control and poise. You don't need to fight every emotion. You just need to be aware of them, and then choose your next move with intention. That's how you protect your energy. That's how you build self-trust. If you always speak when you're angry, you'll ruin relationships. If you always move when you're afraid, you'll miss opportunities. If you always decide when you're emotional, you'll destroy your momentum. Train yourself to be still in the heat, to stay quiet long enough for the storm to pass inside you. Not because you're weak, but because you respect your mind enough to guard it from impulsive damage. Your emotions are signals, not commands. They can inform you, but they don't have to control you. The deeper your control, the stronger your direction. Stable your emotions, the clearer your path. That kind of control can't be taught in a single day. It must be earned daily. In hard conversations, in difficult decisions, in moments of rejection, loss, fatigue, and delay. The more you hold yourself steady, the more powerful your self-image becomes. Because you're proving to yourself that you are not a prisoner to the moment. You're bigger than the mood. You're stronger than the impulse. It's not about suppressing what you feel. It's about upgrading how you respond. Feeling everything and still choosing growth. Experiencing pressure and still choosing patience. Facing uncertainty and still choosing clarity. When you do this enough, your emotional responses begin to work for you, not against you. They evolve. They support your higher goals instead of sabotaging them. That's when you know you're not just surviving struggles. You're mastering them. You're turning every challenge into a lesson in self-control. And no one can take that away from you. Number 10. Rewire your beliefs to unlock your full strength. Your beliefs shape everything you do. They define your limits and expand your possibilities. If you truly want to unlock your full strength, you must first challenge the beliefs that have been holding you back. Most people live within a framework of beliefs that were shaped by their past experiences, their environment, or the opinions of others. These beliefs often limit their potential, keeping them stuck in patterns of mediocrity or self-doubt. But your beliefs are not facts. They are just interpretations of your experiences, and they can be changed. If you want to break free from the limitations of your current self, you need to rewire your beliefs. Beliefs are like the software that runs the operating system of your mind. If your software is outdated, corrupted, or poorly designed, the results you get in life will reflect that. But by reprogramming your beliefs, you give yourself the power to rewrite your story. You gain the ability to transform your life from the inside out. This transformation begins with awareness. The first step in changing your beliefs is to become aware of what they are. What do you truly believe about yourself, about your potential, about the world around you? Most people don't take the time to reflect on their beliefs. They just act on them unconsciously. They live in a state of autopilot, never realizing that their beliefs are running the show. So the first thing you need to do is get clear on your current belief system. What beliefs have you inherited? Which ones are serving you, and which ones are limiting you? For example, you might believe that you're not good enough, that you don't deserve success, or that you're not capable of achieving your goals. These beliefs will act as invisible walls around you, preventing you from taking the necessary actions to reach your full potential. But if you can identify those beliefs, you can start to dismantle them. This is where the real work begins. Once you identify your limiting beliefs, you need to challenge them. You must ask yourself, is this belief truly true? Is it based on facts or just past experiences? Often, limiting beliefs are rooted in fear, insecurity, or past failures. But just because you've failed in the past doesn't mean you're doomed to fail in the future. Failure is not a reflection of your abilities. It's a part of the learning process. So when you encounter a belief that limits you, question it. Challenge it with facts, logic, and new perspectives. The more you challenge these beliefs, the more you'll realize they no longer serve you. Changing your beliefs isn't just about thinking differently, it's about feeling differently. Your beliefs are deeply tied to your emotions, and if you want to rewire them, you need to engage your emotions in the process. To do this, you must visualize the person you want to become and connect emotionally with that vision. Imagine yourself already living your ideal life. What does it look like? How do you feel? What actions are you taking? By feeling the emotions of your future self, you begin to rewire your brain to align with that version of you. Your mind starts to accept that this new belief is possible, and as a result, it will begin to change the way you think, feel, and act. As you rewire your beliefs, it's important to reinforce them through consistent action. Beliefs are not just thoughts. They are patterns of behavior that you continually reinforce through your actions. If you want to believe that you're capable of achieving something great, you need to take action that aligns with that belief. Every time you push yourself outside your comfort zone, you're reinforcing a belief in your strength and ability. Every time you make progress toward your goals, you prove to yourself that your new beliefs are true. Another key to rewiring your beliefs is to surround yourself with people who believe in you and support your growth. The people you spend the most time with influence your beliefs. If you're constantly surrounded by negativity or doubt, it will be difficult to change your own belief system. But if you surround yourself with people who inspire you, encourage you, and challenge you to grow, it will be much easier to adopt empowering beliefs. These people act as mirrors, reflecting the version of yourself that you are striving to become. They show you what's possible, and they help you see your own potential. It's also important to recognize that changing your beliefs takes time. You won't wake up tomorrow with a completely new mindset, but each day you take small actions in alignment with your new beliefs, you'll begin to see shifts. And as those shifts accumulate, you'll start to see real change in your life. It's like building muscle. The more you train, the stronger you get. But the muscle of belief requires daily practice too. Every time you act in alignment with your new beliefs, you're reinforcing them and making them stronger. One powerful way to reinforce your new beliefs is through affirmations. Affirmations are statements that you repeat to yourself to help shift your mindset. These statements should be positive, present tense, and focused on the belief you want to adopt. For example, instead of saying, "I will be successful," say, "I am capable of achieving great success." Instead of saying, "I'm not good enough," say, "I have everything I need to succeed." By repeating these affirmations daily, you slowly replace your old beliefs with new ones. Over time, these new beliefs become your truth. As you work to rewire your beliefs, you'll also encounter resistance. Your old beliefs will fight back. They're comfortable, familiar, and have been with you for a long time. But don't be discouraged. Resistance is a sign that you're pushing against your comfort zone, and that's exactly where the growth happens. Every time you face resistance and push through it, you prove to yourself that you're capable of changing. You prove to yourself that you are not defined by your past beliefs, but by the person you choose to become. Ultimately, rewiring your beliefs is about creating a new identity. It's about transforming the way you see yourself and your potential. When you believe in your strength, your abilities, and your potential, you begin to act in ways that align with that belief. Your actions become a reflection of your new identity, and as a result, you begin to achieve things you once thought were impossible. By rewiring your beliefs, you unlock your full strength and step into the limitless potential that has always been within you.